If you already have a child that you conceived easily, the reality of secondary infertility can come as a massive shock. You know your body did this once before, so why not now? On today's episode, we are chatting with my wonderful friend, Kate, who shares her journey to completing her family. Without knowing exactly why her body wasn't cooperating, Kate shares what she did differently to finally get those 2 pink lines. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends both science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Here each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so you can stop stressing that you'll never have a baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And I am absolutely loving sharing all of these really personal stories and journeys this month. They're all so different, and I just think that it is so important to show this really wide variety of paths and things that we go through in order to start and build and complete our families. And a few of the conversations I've had this month that I've released to you have been about long journeys of loss and IVF and so many cycles where things haven't worked out. And today's episode is a little bit different. Kate conceived her first child relatively easily, and she was at a point when she met me where she was about to start IVF. She was in her late 30s and was told that was pretty much her only option. But she just felt like that wasn't quite the answer. And she'd already tried a few holistic therapies and hadn't really quite got to the bottom of why they weren't working for her. And she just knew there was something else to the story. So we talked today about what she went through and how she finally got to her positive pregnancy test. So I hope that you find this episode helpful and inspiring. I certainly did. Here's Kate. Kate, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here with me. I've loved watching your journey and just to see everything that you've gone through to get here. So big welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Can we start by learning just a little bit about your fertility journey and your journey of trying to conceive? So where were you at when we met and what had you been through to get to that stage?
I'll go back to the start. So we've already got a child and we didn't really have any dramas conceiving him. So it was about 3 months of trying, and then I consulted a fertility naturopath and 3 months on supplements and we were pregnant. So it wasn't, it wasn't time consuming or anything like that. And I think going back for the second, I kind of assumed that it would be something similar. So when our son was about 1, I spoke to my fertility naturopath again and she got us on some more supplements, the both of us. We did, just your routine blood test, sperm test and stuff like that. And I was literally like, right, bang on 3 months. It's, probably going to happen again. And I remember that 3rd month I did a test and it was negative and I was like, okay. So yeah, we just kept trying and we got, I think about 8 months in and we're a little bit older. So I'm just about to turn 40. So time really wasn't on our side anyway. So yeah, I got in touch with my obstetrician who is actually like a fertility specialist. So we went and saw him. And that was just a long drawn out process, as it was like from the time you just go into your first appointment, it's really not until 3 or 4 months later that anything actually even happens. So we did like a cycle of just ovulation tracking, and then we did 2 rounds of ovulation induction, which resulted in, nothing. And then I just got onto a different fertility naturopath that I'd seen on Instagram. And I was just really determined to try and do this as naturally as I could. Like my next step obviously was going to be IVF. I'd gone down the route of getting my super money to do the IVF. I had that all sitting there. I was ready to go. And I just kept telling myself, like, I've done this before. I know I can do it again. like there's something here, and I know that it's possible. And and that's when I kind of stumbled across you, Jen, and just from the moment I saw you talking, I think before you'd even finished introducing yourself, I'd already found you on Instagram and I downloaded your free YouTube guide. And I just, I just knew that that's where I was being drawn into the yoga space. And just really
Thank you.
got into it.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's the expectation that kills you, isn't it? It's the whole, well, I did this once. It took this amount of time. This is what I did to get there. And I'm going to do it again. And I would say, close to half of my students, I think, would be dealing with secondary infertility. And people think that it's, you either have infertility issues or you don't. But it's not the way it works. I have so many students who fell pregnant so quickly with their first child. And then the second one, for some reason, it can take so much longer. And, there's lots of reasons why that might be the case. You're very depleted in terms of your nutrients and your vitamins and minerals after you have a baby. And sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. And like you said, leaning into that, knowing that you did it once before and that your body is capable is so reassuring. But it's hard to maintain that, I think, as well. So what did you find what was it about yoga that you were drawn to? Did you have any experience with yoga previously?
I'd never done yoga. I think I'd done Pilates before, and I just remember going to Pilates thinking like, this just really isn't for me. I had been doing reformer Pilates leading up to getting pregnant, but I'd stopped doing that quite a few months before. For some reason, I can't even remember why now. I just, with the time and, actually just being able to make time to go to a studio and do that with a young child already. But I don't know. It was just something that, like, I love the saying where it's like with infertility, you just throw everything at the wall and you see what sticks. I was just like, right, this is just something I haven't tried before and I've got to give it a go, because your story, like you're listening to your story, was so inspiring. And I just thought, like, if I've done it before, like, I think this is just the little missing piece to what, like, is going on in my journey. And I just did it every day. I loved it. I just found so much calmness in it, and it just, I just really enjoyed it, and I looked forward to it. And I made, it was easy to do at home. Like, it was half an hour at the most. Like, my son was still napping at the time, so I would put him down on my days I wasn't working, and just do like a quick little session at whatever point of my cycle I was in. And I just loved it.
That's so funny you say that like missing piece. And I say that a lot to people. Sometimes you've literally done everything. You do the perfect diet, you've got all of the supplements, everything looks perfect on paper, but for some reason it just isn't happening. And that was 100% my experience as well. I'm like, this should have worked. How could I go through all of this and it doesn't work, And for me, and just as you said, that the yoga piece was that final little puzzle piece. And people are like, well, it's just a bit of yoga. Like, what difference does it actually make? But it's bringing that sense of peace back into your life. And something that I'm very big on is reminding women how capable they are, and just to see what your body can do. And when you start to incorporate a practice like this, and like you said, it's easy to incorporate. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. You can do it at home. And when you start to notice little changes, like you look forward to it, you feel more peaceful from doing it. Maybe you start to sleep a little bit better. Maybe you're a little bit less crabby around your partner. They're all the little things that I started to notice. I thought, there is something here that I haven't tried before, that I haven't come across. So had you tried anything apart from yoga before? Had you done any meditation or any breath work? Was this your very first experience of yoga altogether?
Yeah, I'd never done meditation. I always found it so difficult to just sit and, without your mind racing a million miles a second, with just not being able to think about anything. So I'd never done breath work or meditation before, I come across you.
Yeah. I get that all the time as well. People are like, I don't think I want to start a yoga practice. I've never done it before. I don't want to be doing all these like crazy pretzel poses and getting into handstands. But I try to remind people that fertility yoga is possibly the laziest form of yoga available. Obviously at different stages of the cycle, it changes, but a lot of it really is just sitting around. There's pillows involved. There's a lot of breathing. And yeah, it's that sitting still that so many people find hard. And it's a practice. It's something that I still have to practice every single day. And there are days where it isn't going to work. Everyone is bad at meditation at the beginning or on some days, I find. So what little things did you notice? You said that you started to enjoy coming into the practice and you looked forward to it. So what was it about it that you found that you wanted to keep doing?
I just found it so relaxing. Like you say, like it was quite lazy, but it was just a lot of like laying around. Like I went and got some yoga bolsters from Kmart and I just really had my little setup. And it was just a time of the day that I really look forward to. I also found that, yes, I probably was a lot less crabby towards my partner, but also I feel like my parenting changed a little bit. Like I was a lot more able to cope with the 2-year-old tantrums than I had done previously, which I kind of sat back and thought, wow, that's like really huge, just to be able to just relax a little bit more. I think my naturopath had been saying, like, you really need to regulate your nervous system and balance your hormones. And I was like, but how do I do that? No one could really tell me how to do that. And then, obviously when I came across you, it was all about regulating your nervous system. I'd never heard so many people talk about regulating your nervous system before I'd gotten into this fertility world. And I just found it really calmed me down and I was sleeping better. I was like, had so much more energy. I was like cleaning the house like a crazy person. Like I just couldn't sit down. And that's really different to like, I'm not a big, go-getter. I'm not like a big exercise person. Like I'm not, I don't have to go out and do something every day. Like I was really enjoying my walks. We have a dog. So I was doing that. I was making sure I was getting out and getting a walk every day. But I just really loved the changes that I was seeing.
A lot of people say that to me. They hear this idea of this nervous system regulation thing, which I think is quite new. When I started teaching yoga, that wasn't so much of a buzzword. Obviously, that is what yoga is about, but it wasn't said in such a specific way. And now it's sort of all you hear. And there are all these things that you see advertised to you that are, meant to help your nervous system. And, but so often people will say to me exactly what you just said. Well, how do I even do this? What does it mean? Where do I even start? And, you can regulate your nervous system through things like nutrition, and there are different supplements that can help you, but it's not something you can take a pill and have a magic result from. It really is something you have to find within you. And it comes from little practices, but it is that consistency. As you said, once you found something that you enjoyed, and it doesn't have to be a yoga practice, it could be anything that works for you, that gives you that kind of feeling and that result. But that is it, and that tangible, this is how I can help you get yourself into a state of regulation. And this idea of balancing hormones, well, what does that mean as well? And what hormones are we balancing? And that's a very, very big question. So it's a very, very big thing to be confronted with when you're going through infertility. And, doctors are like, try to keep your stress levels down, and you've got every person left, right and center telling you to relax. And that's obviously not possible. When someone just tells you to calm down and relax, it is not what you're going to do. So having these tools and having something to actually go to, I find gives you, it's the biggest difference, makes such a big difference in your life. So when you were leading up to the kind of the weeks or the month before you got your positive pregnancy test, how did you feel? Did you feel like there was anything different? Did you have a little bit of sense of knowing, or was it a complete surprise?
There's nothing that stands out that I really did different, because I was so I was on my routine, right? I was doing my bone broth every morning. I was working on my gut health. I was really focused on nutrition, and I always made time of the day to do a practice, whether that be, breath work. My favorite thing I used to do before I went to bed every night was I can't remember the pose, but it's the legs up the wall one. And I would do that every night. I'd put on like 10 minutes of meditation music, and I would just lay in my bed with my legs up the wall before I went to bed. And that I just really, I would be going to bed at like 8 o'clock. So I'm off to do my, I'm off to do my stuff. But yeah, nothing too different. I did have a chemical pregnancy the month before. So I got a positive pregnancy test. I stopped testing, to be honest, after quite a few months. I was like, I'm just going to wait for my period to come. And if it doesn't come, then maybe I'll take a test. But I was sick of buying them, sick of throwing them out, sick of reading the negatives. So I think for my own mental health, I just decided like I'm just gonna stop doing that. So yeah, I was a couple of days late, and I took a test, and it came up positive. It was the digital one. It was like a last one I just had in the back of my cupboard, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna give that a go. And then because I had been working with my fertility clinic, I just had called them up, and they got me in to do blood straight away. And then yeah, basically they told me that afternoon that my HCG was only at 29, so it was more than likely not, to be a viable pregnancy. But I was hopeful because this was the first positive I'd had in 18 months. And I knew that I was on the right track. Like I knew so something's changed here. Like we're getting closer. And then, yeah, we tried the next month after and got another positive. And I thought, okay, here we go. And my bloods came back at 344 for that month. And yeah, here we are at 23 weeks with a healthy little boy on the way.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Kate. That's so beautiful. I get chills, and so many people say exactly what you just did. I felt like we were getting closer. And I had a similar experience to you. I had a loss about 6 months before I fell pregnant again with my son. And, whilst that is so devastating and it's so hard to go through, at the back of your mind, it's like, well, no, I did that. I'm capable. My body is capable. I am on the right track. I am doing all of the things my body needs. And there is, I find so much power and so much, just reassurance in knowing that you've created that just from yourself as well. Is there any advice that you would have given yourself, say, 2 years ago, or for anyone else who is in the middle of their own journey at the moment as well? What would you say to yourself or to them?
I wish I knew all of this 2 years ago. I wish after we'd had our son, I had have just looked after myself a little bit better. Like I think like everything just makes so much sense now looking back on it. Like, of course, eating, high protein and lots of antioxidants and stuff like that. I think for me, I just took all that kind of stuff for granted, and I just thought like, no, I can have like, my bowls of pasta, and like I could just keep eating the way I was eating. Like I just didn't really think that was going to be such a huge difference. But obviously because of my age, I really, at the end of the day, did need to focus on egg quality. And yeah, I wish I'd just found everybody earlier. Like really, I wouldn't have, but maybe I might have. And this is the journey that we're on. And I'm so happy to have met, people like yourself and have gotten involved in yoga and in that world. And everybody that struggles with infertility, it's just a tricky journey. And, once you can see the end of it, like I think it all makes so much sense. And there's obviously a reason why it's happening. And I always sort of thought that like, maybe my son does need a little bit more one-on-one time with us. Maybe our age gap needs to be a little bit bigger. And that's just what I was kind of telling myself, to get through those dark days.
It's funny looking back in, and I planned I was going to be one of those mums that had 2 under 2, even smaller age gap if I could have managed it. But looking back now, obviously there's a much bigger gap between my kids, and it all just makes sense. It all just fell into place. And if you can, as hard as it is, just lean into trusting that your journey will unfold the way it is meant to unfold. There's a lot of reassurance in that. So, Kate, thank you so much for sharing everything today and your journey. And I just so appreciate that I got to meet you and got to share your journey as well. So thanks.
Thank you so much. I know I'm so grateful for coming across your program. And I was very lucky because I had been doing the sessions on YouTube, and not long after I'd found you, you'd opened up your program. So it was just the timing. It was meant to be. And here I am, and I'm very grateful and thankful for your program and for everything that you do in this space. And it's just been it has been the missing piece for us, and we're so happy to now be adding to our family, and I'll definitely let you know when he's here.
You're amazing, Kate. Thank you. Thank you so much for all of that.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. And I hope you enjoyed hearing Kate's story here as much as I did. I've loved this month sharing all of these journeys and these personal stories with you. So let me know what you think of them. Is this something that you find inspiring? Is it something that you like to hear? And would you like to hear more of them? As this goes live, I am about to open the doors to the In Your Element fertility yoga program. I'm so excited. This is something that I only open up a few days per year. I like to keep the group size quite contained in order to be able to give as much personal support to the people that are in the program. So it's something that I will cap once places are full, doors will close again. And I've spoken about this several times already this month on the podcast, but it is a fully comprehensive mind-body fertility program. It is something that gives you everything that you need, all of the tools that you need along the way, the holistic support, the medical support. We have access to fertility nurses and doctors. You can ask them all of your questions. It is just such a wonderful way to find some calm, know that you're surrounded by people that support you, and know that you're on the right path. So if you have any questions about the program come up, you can email me, you can send me a DM at any stage. Otherwise, I'm going to be emailing out lots more information over the next couple of days. So I can't wait to have you in the program if you're interested in joining. But otherwise, I can't wait to have you back on the podcast for next week. So until then, I am sending you all of my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways: to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace, to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in mind-body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. The course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.